Welcome back to another video. Dear students, in this video you're going to learn about enzymes. We'll see about metabolisms and then we'll see enzymes and then in the last we'll discuss the characteristics of enzymes. So let's start the video. You know that in our body a lot of physiological processes are happening and they are basically happening just because of the metabolic reactions that are taking place within our living body. So metabolism is basically the sum or the collection of all the chemical reactions that are happening within our body, and you know that somewhere they're utilizing the energy and somewhere they are liberating the energy, somewhere they are forming something and somewhere they are splitting or breaking down some chemicals in order to give the energy. So metabolism is basically the sum of chemical reactions that take place in living cells, providing energy for life processes and the synthesis of cellular material. If you look at these metabolic reactions, then there are two types. First is the anabolic reaction, which are contributing to anabolism, formation of something, while other sort of chemical reactions are catabolic reactions that are contributing to catabolism, in which something is splitting. So first you'll talk about the anabolism. So it is a process by which the body, the living body, is actually utilizing the energy to form the bigger molecules with the help of the smaller molecules that are available. For example, glucose, amino acids, and lipids like fatty acids, they are actually assembling certain structures, certain products within our body. They are forming something. So anabolism involves formation of something. So those chemical reactions that are uniting, that are joining the smaller molecules to give a bigger molecules by utilizing the energy, they are termed as anabolic reaction and they are contributing to anabolism. While catabolism is opposite to it. So in catabolism, what is happening? The smaller molecules are formed with the help of the bigger molecules by its splitting. So once the larger molecule or the bigger molecule splits, it gives off a lot of smaller molecules, and this process is basically liberating the stored energy from the chemical bonds. Now I'll see here. You can see these smaller molecules, they are utilizing the energy and they are making the larger molecules. So they are basically the undergoing the endergonic process in which the energy is absorbed. Here you can see the catabolic reaction. In catabolism, the large molecule is splitting into smaller molecules and energy is also liberating. So this is basically the catabolic reaction, and this is basically the exergonic process because energy is just releasing. Here again I have just shown the catabolism is the breakdown of larger molecules into smaller molecules, and anabolism is the synthesis of the larger molecule from the smaller molecules. And you know about the energy. So here, if you are actually consuming any food material, like you are enjoying certain food, then it undergoes metabolism. First, it will be split into its components, and once it is splitting into its components, then energy is also releasing. We'll first see the catabolism. So these simplest molecules, they're also splitting into their components. Here you can see nitrogen is given off carbon dioxide gas, phosphorus, sulfur. Like carbon dioxide, you can see here, this is the excretory product, and this is basically excreted out by the process of excretion. So how this food is simplifying? This is simplifying by the process of digestion. Now these essential molecules, they're used by your body to form different sort of structures, different sort of chemicals that are actually very important for our body, for different body processes also. So here you can see here like the ATP is releasing once the molecule is splitting. They are forming, like they are giving off the ATP, which is adenosine triphosphate, and this is the cash currency. Like the cash currency, this is the energy currency, and this currency, like these ATP molecules are actually combining these simplest molecules, the simplest components or food material. Like this amino acid is the simplest component of the protein, the sugars are of the carbohydrates, and the fatty acids are coming from the lipids, the fats. So they are just joining together in different sort of sequences, and they are making different structures, different chemicals like hormones, like enzymes and hairs and nails they're forming. So side by side, you're looking here, like side by side, the catabolism and anabolism are happening, and both of them are the types of metabolism. Um, the question arises, how is this metabolism happening? So you know that for initiating or for beginning any sort of reaction, you need some energy. So activation energy here, it is the minimum amount of energy that is needed to initiate a chemical reaction. Like in order to initiate, in order to begin, in order to start a chemical reaction, you need a minimum amount of energy, which is termed as the activation energy, that is going to initiate or trigger that process. Um, I have mentioned here about the enzymes. So we are now moving towards enzymes, the main topics. Enzymes are basically the biological catalysts. They are the catalysts for what? For all the metabolic reactions that are happening, whether they are anabolic reactions or whether they are catabolic reactions. So they are basically the facilitators. So they are biological catalysts. As you might have seen, the catalysts that are used in the chemical laboratories, which are going to do what? The catalysts are basically speeding up the chemical reactions without being utilized by themselves. So they don't utilize themselves, they don't affect the end products, the nature or the properties of the end products, the characteristics of the end products. So same is going with the enzymes. Enzymes are the biological catalysts, and they do what? They actually lure down this, they reduce this activation energy so that the rate of reaction could be faster. Okay, so the reaction will take place at a faster pace. So the lower the activation energy for a reaction, the faster the rate. Thus, enzymes speed up reactions by lowering activation energy, and they are specific for their substrates. There are the reactants of the enzymes are termed as the substrates, so they are specific to them, and they actually facilitate the chemical reaction by lowering the activation energy. And then they do not put their properties on any sort of product that is forming. For example, if the enzyme is of acidic nature, it will not hurt the property of the product. I hope that you understood it. Here you can see, like, this is the process. You will have to tell me about this process, if is the catabolic reaction or the anabolic reaction. So this is respiration basically. I hope that you have identified this reaction. Here the glucose is simply oxidized by the oxygen, and you can see here the amount of energy that is going to catalyze this reaction is reduced. The activation energy with enzyme, you can see this is very minimum amount of energy that you are utilizing, and then the product is forming, and the product is carbon dioxide gas and water. Carbon dioxide gas, being the toxic or the waste product, will be removed outside from your body. However, if this reaction was happening without enzymes, so you can see how much amount of energy you could require, and the reaction pace would also be slower. Okay, I hope that this concept of the activation energy with and without enzyme is clear to you. Now we'll see different characteristics of enzymes. You know that the enzymes are the substances that that are acting as the catalyst, the biocatalyst in the living organisms. So they are doing what? They are regulating the rate at which chemical reactions proceed without itself being altered in the process. So the amount of the enzyme, the characteristics of the enzymes, the specificity will remain the same. Now, if you look at the composition or the structure, then these are the proteinous structure. The enzyme is a large proteinous molecule, and it is composed of one or more amino acid chains. And these chains are termed as polypeptide chains, since multiple amino acids are making them up, and they are joining together in different sequence. And this sequence, by the way, will determine the specificity of enzyme in turn. So you know that the trypsin acts on the proteins, and then it simplifies the proteins into amino acids. Similarly, amylase is specific to carbohydrates. It catalyzes the reaction for the carbohydrates, and lipase is acting on the lipids. So they are specific just because of the sequence with which they are actually forming that particular sort of protein. Now you'll see here how do they act. Now, first thing first, the substrate. Enzymes are letting these substrates attach to their active site. This is the enzyme and this is the active site. Active site is the point or the place on the enzyme which is gonna bind them. So active site is that site where the substrates are gonna attach. Substrates are what? They are basically the reactants of the enzymes. So you can see here, the glucose is basically the substrate for the enzyme. Which enzyme? The amylase. So the amylase will stick this glucose here at its active site. Once it has attached its substrate, then this will make the enzyme substrate complex here. And once this reaction happens, what happens? The product will be forming. So the product is here. You can see the enzyme's active site has become vacant now because the product has formed and it has been released. This enzyme will not have is not going to put its characteristics, is not going to exhibit its properties on this product. This product is exhibiting its own properties because enzymes will not hurt its properties. Now the cofactor. Like, the enzymes are proteins and they are like flexible to their substrate to attach themselves, but there are certain cofactors may also be required for the enzymes to show their activity, to perform their action. Okay, so cofactors, we'll see what are they. So cofactors are like the assistants for these enzymes. So cofactor, chemically, it is a non-protein chemical compound that either tightly or loosely binds with an enzyme. The cofactor can be inorganic, like any mineral, any metals, for example, the iron, the copper, sodium, zinc, magnesium. They are the inorganic factors, cofactors for the enzymes. They're actually going to make the enzyme capable. They are enabling the enzyme to perform its action easily. So they may be inorganic, like I just mentioned you some, and they can be organic, like NADP, nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide phosphate, like FAD. So on the basis of their attachment, like if these organic factors are tightly bound to an enzyme, then they are termed as phosphatic group, while if the organic factors are loosely attached with an enzyme, then they are termed as coenzymes. Now I want to show you here, this is the inactive protein, because you can see the substrates, the reactants for enzymes, they are having certain different geometrical shape, okay, and they cannot fix them here at this enzyme. So without the cofactor attached, the protein is not active. This is inactive protein. It cannot bind the substrates to them because their geometrical shape is slightly different from the substrate's geometrical shape. Here, the cofactor is going to attach with this enzyme, this inactive protein, and then it will make it the active protein. The active protein now can bind the substrate at its binding site. So this is how they can catalyze the reaction with the help of cofactors as well. I hope that you understood it. Now we'll see the enzyme inhibitor. Enzyme inhibitor is a molecule that disrupts the normal reaction pathway between an enzyme and a substrate. It means it is going to block the activity of an enzyme. So enzyme inhibitor is a molecule that is blocking the activity of the enzyme, hence the enzyme becomes non-functional. While the enzyme activators are also there, they are going to enhance the activity of the enzymes. So I hope that you understood it well. In this video, we talked about the metabolism in detail. Then I just gave you the idea of activation and energy and then you saw the enzyme, their chemistry, their composition, and then we just touched the characteristics of enzymes. I hope that you understood it. Still, if you have any query, then you can ask me in the comment below. By the way, you will have to tell me in the comments that oh, if the respiration is a catabolic reaction or the anabolic reaction. If you know the answer, you can comment below easily. I will see you in the next video. Till then, take care and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.